What is up, comic book fans, readers, collectors, cover lovers? Everyone is welcome here at NerdyGeeksComics, no matter how you collect. Today is, what is today? Saturday? Yes, Saturday, October the 11th, 2025. And I'm going to do something different this week. I'm going to do some reviews of some books that I've been reading. I'm not sure how many reviews I'm going to do. I don't want to make this too long where y'all get bored, but I'm going to do an in-depth review. So if you haven't read any of the titles that I'm going to read and you care about spoilers, warning, I'm going to spoil the stories and everything. But if you don't like spoilers, uh, leave me a comment and tell me, hey, I'd rather you do a quick synopsis of the general story without getting too spoilery or too detailed with it. Or if you do like the way I do this review, then tell me that. Say, hey, I love this review. It was great. Now I know that I want to pick this up. Give me your feedback. I'm just trying to do something a little different, at least a little different for me. But anyways, let's go ahead and get to some of the reviews. I'm going to start off with Absolute Evil #1. All right, so this is my review for Absolute Evil #1. We start off with a flashback in 1951, and we meet the Absolute Hawkman. He seems to be turning himself over to the U.S. government, maybe to do work with them. It feels like it's something he didn't want to do, but it felt like it was his duty, so he went ahead and did it. And it's just like I think it's just 1 or 2 pages. And then we go on to the modern day. So now we're in the modern day, and we meet Absolute Green Arrow. He's in his lair practicing shooting, and is also having a conversation with Roy Harper on an earpiece. So Ollie seems like he's bothered. He's talking about wanting to make a difference. What's the point of all this money if he doesn't put it to good use, is basically what he's saying. So it seems like now we're getting the origin of the Absolute Green Arrow. He's going after someone named Jubal Slade, who seems to be an Epstein-esque character in the Absolute Universe. Ollie mentions an island and children. We basically get it. We know what he's talking about here. From there, we go to another phone conversation between Hector Hammond and Jubal Slade himself. Jubal Slade is telling Hector Hammond that he's having trouble with Oliver Queen and is wanting Hector to do something about it. Hector tries to convince Jubal that Oliver Queen is nothing to worry about. He's turned 40 and has grown a conscience, is basically what he's saying. He's a problem that they could take care of easily in time. Then we have Hector reluctantly having to get off of his phone because he's come to a security checkpoint at an office building and phones are not allowed. He is irritated by this, but reluctantly does as he's told. He is escorted into a meeting room where Absolute Ra's al Ghul, Veronica Cale, Eleanor Thawne, and the Joker are already at the table waiting for him. Veronica Cale is the National Security Advisor and in charge of the meeting. Hammond doesn't seem to take the meeting seriously. Ra's al Ghul, Dr. Thawne, and the Joker quickly let him know this meeting is to be taken seriously and have no time for joking around. Veronica starts the meeting. She talks about past heroes, the Sandman, Wildcat, Iron Monroe, and how they were becoming heroes, but were then dealt with by either bribery, murder, or accidental death, in quotes. She's telling the group that these are just 3 examples of hundreds of people who messed with the status quo and had to be dealt with, that this is the way things have always gone. Then we see a slide of the Tetracide and the battle at Gateway City with Wonder Woman. She tells everyone on the panel that this is the second most dangerous creature to appear that day. Of course, Absolute Wonder Woman is the most dangerous creature to appear that day. She explains how Wonder Woman is from hell. She uses magic to transform. She destroys the Tetracide with one punch. She turns it to stone. And then the most concerning part, to her at least, is how Wonder Woman is able to command the scene. The troops on the ground defer to her. They obeyed her orders as if she was a general that was given command of the situation. She goes on to talk about Absolute Superman. She goes to describe him as a male creature, disrupting Lazarus operations in Brazil, not being affected by an artillery barrage, melting tanks with his eyes, how he's able to get a trained peacemaker agent, Agent Lane, to switch sides. Now we see the image of the absolute Batman. She mentions how this is in Gotham City, and they believe this one to be human, although he seems to redefine what human can be. He can disappear like a ghost, has his resources not only throughout the city, but built into the city itself, as if he's using the city as part of his arsenal. This is when the Joker speaks for the first time, saying that he didn't take the bribe. Veronica lets him know exactly, unlike his predecessors, he didn't take the money. Then we also see slides with Absolute Green Lantern and the Flash. She describes them with less details. She sees this as a threat of escalation, of new threats that are more powerful than the previous ones they had faced, and how this could inspire others, basically becoming like a domino effect, and that they are a danger to the status quo is basically what she's saying. Previously, any threat could have been dealt with individually, but that now the people at the table, combined with the US government, will need to combine their resources in order to deal with these problems. Hector Hammond, of course, as arrogant as when he walked in, disagrees. He basically says he doesn't need any help. He believes that the US government is strapped for cash and resources at the time, so basically the government is coming in, offering their help when they're actually the ones who need the help. But in the past, people like him and everyone else at the table have always dealt with this in their own way, without any help from anyone. Ra's al Ghul interrupts. He lets Kale know that it's time, so they call in Hawkman. So now we have Hawkman walking in, carrying Oliver Queen's corpse, tossing it on the table like a rag doll. Ra's al Ghul informs Hammond that this is how they deal with problems, not in due time, but immediately. If you remember, when Hammond was walking in, he was on the phone with Jubal Slade, mentioning how they'll deal with Oliver Queen in due time. Literally, here's the corpse of the problem he was talking about. That's how fast this group takes care of their issues before they become a problem. They don't let it grow. And when we see Ollie, he looks like his head was bashed in by the mace of Hawkman. Dr. Thawne then asks Kale if this is a demonstration or is it a threat. Kale lets them all know that this is the type of resources they will have access to, and they can all benefit. Dr. Thawne still doesn't agree. It's at this point where the Joker stands up and asks for the floor. No one speaks. Nobody says yes, nobody says no. Basically, he stood up asking for the floor, but knowing he was going to have it, basically demanding it, and everyone just bowed down to him. The Joker lets on about his people have discovered a new particle. They call it the Omega particle, and studying this particle has led them to the understanding of the world and how all creation was started. He then goes into a monologue about the design of the universe, how this world is just by natural order. These new people, meaning the heroes, disrupting the status quo, are creating injustice, and that them together must fight against it. He reminds them they're not friends, but they can become allies. They can be in league with each other. Then he says they can be a Justice League. During his monologue, we get a close-up view of Ra's al Ghul, and in his glasses that he's wearing, you see the reflection of the Joker. And then you also see screens with the Joker, and we see that Brainiac is watching the meeting and listening. Then we also get an outside view of the building that this meeting is taking place, and it is the Hall of Justice that we all know. And we see the title, Absolute Justice. So in the Absolute universe, it seems like the Justice League will be the villains. So then we also get a page where we see that Brainiac has been observing this through the glasses of Ra's al Ghul, but not through a camera. He's been doing it with the help of Mirror Master, and Mirror Master wants to know what all this means for them. Brainiac sees this Justice League, this new organization of the Justice League, as needing balance, and how a lot of the people at the table can balance each other out. But Brainiac thinks that in order for the balance to be complete, they will need one more member, specifically to counter the Joker. This is when we see two people sitting in the country, seemingly content with life, The man says that he used to want be bigger than life, but now he couldn't ask for anything else in the world, that he is at peace. Then his phone starts to ring and he gets up to answer it. And that's when we hear him say, "This is Lex Luthor. How can I be of help?" And that's how this issue ends. So now we have the introduction of the absolute Lex Luthor, guys. This book was so good. I really loved the pace of it. I loved all the villains showing up together. I love how they spun the table where they're in the Hall of Justice and they feel like they're trying to keep order in the world, so they name themselves as the Justice League. Guys, this book was so good. It's got me so ready. I'm already loving the Absolute Universe, and this just has me even more ready to get to the next issues. Every time I read Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, I am immediately ready for the next issue. And this book just made it even worse because now I'm ready to see what's going to happen. So, I hope y'all enjoyed my review. If you liked it, try and find a copy. I don't think that this is a book that's sold out. I'm sure plenty of copies are out there, but I hope y'all like the review. All right, so now we're going to get to our second book review, and I'm going to be reviewing Absolute Superman number 12. So this issue starts out showing us that Martha Kent is still alive. She seems to be living in a nursing home and appears to be struggling with dementia. And then that's all we get from her. We just get one page. So then our story actually starts off with Kal-El bringing Jimmy and Lois to an empty grassland. We don't know where it's at. It just looks like empty grass fields. Kal is still angry about everything that just happened. The fact that Brainiac got him so close into wanting to kill. He is struggling to keep his anger in check. And Soul is just trying to calm him down. So then later we get a flashback to 5 years ago. Kal is arguing with Soul about no longer wanting to be around humans anymore. Soul tells him how important it is to not become unattached from the people of Earth, that he should not grow up alone. But first things first, Kal needs a bath because he's got a musk around him and needs to be bathed thoroughly. So he dives into an active volcano. So then a little later in the story, we see Kal is in the Philippines. He's helping people work the sugarcane fields. The people are grateful and want to pay him back by making him homemade dinner while they're standing around and talking, despite the fact that Kal has done pretty much all the work for them in a quicker pace. The peacemakers show up, seeing them standing around talking. They threaten the workers to get back to work and start beating some of them. Kal, of course, is having none of this and defends the workers. He accidentally rips an arm off of one of the peacemakers. Peacemaker cries out in pain, and then you just see a flash because it turns out that Kal is so frightened about what he just did that he leaps away to the top of a snowy mountaintop. Once he's alone on the mountaintop, Kal tells Soul that he didn't mean to do that. Soul tells him that the more he absorbs the yellow sun, his powers will just multiply. That Kal's going to need to learn how to be around humans. He's going to need to learn to be fragile with them. Kal, however, is still angry from the concentration and wants to kill all the peacemakers, knowing that he can do it easily. Soul reminds him that that's not what his parents would have wanted. Kal reminds Soul his parents are dead and Soul isn't real and that he wants to be alone. So then we get back to the present. Lois and Jimmy are at a diner asking if they can wash dishes or do any type of cleaning or manual labor for food, that they are starving. The waitress recognizes them and knows who they are, and that Lane is a peacemaker agent working for Lazarus. That's when Jimmy and Lois also realize that everyone else at the diner is staring at them. Seems like they know who they are too. The waitress proceeds to tell them that Superman, over the years, has saved Smallville numerous times, helping the townsfolk with their farms, helping save the city, fix the city, helping out in any way he can, and never asking for anything in return. It's at this point that the waitress, Lana Lang, tells them lunch is on her. And then the townsfolk who had been slowly creeping up on them are all telling them, no, your lunch is on me. Then another one says, well, then they'll want dinner. Well, then I got supper. And everyone is wanting to pay for them because they know that Lois and Jimmy tried to help Superman. And this is their way of showing thanks. So then we return to the empty field, which now we realize is a farm. And it's the Kent's farm. Cal is already there waiting for Lois and Jimmy. Jimmy, of course, holding 2 bags of food from the diner, offers some to Cal. Cal tells Jimmy no thank you, that he really doesn't eat. Jimmy replies with, that's probably the saddest thing he's ever heard. Cal then lets Lois know that Sol told him what happened to her father at Brainiac's lab, and that he is deeply sorry for her loss. Lois reminds him that they need to get moving before Lazarus catches up to them, because they eventually will. Cal goes on to tell her that they can't leave because Lazarus is already there and they're about to lay waste to Smallville. And that's where this issue ends. It says, next, Smallville under siege. So another great absolute Superman. The story was really good. We got some backstory. We got current story. We now see that the townfolk of Smallville know Cal, or Superman, whatever they call him, and that they all appreciate him, and he's been helping them over the years. So, of course, he's going to stay to defend them against Lazarus, which looks like it's bringing its entire force to Smallville. And you know what, guys? I think I'm going to end it right here. I don't want to do too many reviews and make this video too long. Again, this was just something I wanted to do to try and see what the response would be. Maybe if people did like this, I could do more reviews. If y'all prefer I do an in-depth review like I did on these, and do it maybe once a week, or maybe do 2 or 3 books every couple of weeks, just let me know. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I did the best I can telling the story to y'all the best I could remember it, and I hope y'all liked it. So please like and subscribe. Click the bell for notifications in case you do like my content. That way you can get notice whenever I have something new up. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.